DeMonte Kendrick versus Glanville. Looks like the petition for writ of mandamus regarding the recusal of Judge Glanville has been assigned to Judge Belinda Edwards. All right, now. Last week, or in the last video, I should say, we talked about everything that needed to happen when it comes to everyone who wants to get Judge Glanville off of this YSL trial, right? So last week we had the attorney for Yak Got It, Mr. Weinstein. He filed a writ of mandamus and sent it straight to the Georgia Supreme Court. Georgia Supreme Court said, no, that's not the way that we do things here. You got to go through the proper process. So we're going to deny your motions, and you've got to go through the proper channels. Well, Friday afternoon, all right, this guy Weinstein was putting in work, and he did not waste any time. So he went straight back to work, and then he filed a new writ of mandamus and sent it to the Superior Court, just like the Supreme Court had mentioned to him or had told him to do. So he's following the process, and it actually got assigned to another judge. Now we're going to talk about this judge and her possible connections to Judge Glanville. I mentioned my concerns when it comes to the Supreme Court forcing them to go through this process. And one of my biggest concerns was the relationship that Judge Glanville is going to have with these other judges. All right. But y'all check this out. Again, shout out to Thugger Daily for breaking this down and breaking the news as well. It says Yak Got It files his petition for writ of mandamus with Fulton County Superior Court, just like they told him to do. The petition asks the Judge Glanville is mandated to properly refer the motions to recuse him to another judge. A different judge will rule on this petition. All right, so they got him. They got him in there. The process is moving along, and it'll be interesting to see what happens here, because let's go ahead and get into this section of it. This is the summons that Judge Glanville would have received. They said it was sent electronically, but he still has a limited time that he has to respond. All right. So y'all check out the summons. It says in the Superior Court of Fulton County, Georgia, DeMonte Kendrick versus Judge Glanville. All right. Y'all see here, and he needs to answer within 30 days of being served. So he's going to have to respond and give clarification on what's going on here, right? So check this out. We're going to actually read and get into this new petition here in a second, because there's some very interesting stuff here. But before we do that, I actually want to talk about the person who is going to be taking over the case. All right, so let's go back over to Thugger Daily and see if I can find it here. Yep, here we go. So Thugger Daily says DeMonte Kendrick versus Glanville. Looks like the petition for writ of mandamus regarding the recusal of Judge Glanville has been assigned to Judge Belinda Edwards. All right, now this is interesting. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on who Belinda Edwards is. All right, y'all can see the case information here, and it has been assigned to this lovely lady who is Judge Belinda Edwards. Now, Belinda Edwards, she is pretty new to being a judge. I got some notes here I want to read for y'all. It says that Belinda Edwards has been serving on the Superior Court of Fulton County since 2017. All right, so it's barely been 7 years. All right, and then she has been, let me see, I'm trying to find here how long she has actually been in the court system. It hasn't been that long, but the interesting part about that. So Judge Glanville has been on the Superior Court bench since 2005, right? And then it says Judge Glanville and Belinda Edwards have been serving together on the Superior Court of Fulton County since she got there in 2017. So these two have been working together for 7 years. And again, this is the issue I had with the Supreme Court making this or forcing this type of process. Now, there's still different ways they can go about trying to get Judge Glanville off of this case. But as I mentioned, they have a connection. They're co-workers. They've worked together. They probably handled cases together. They probably have each other's number, have been talking back and forth about certain things. So it's interesting to see that these two have been colleagues and worked together for the past 7 years. And now Belinda is the one who gets assigned to this case. Of course, it's probably going to be that case with any judge that would be assigned to this, because in Fulton County, Judge Glanville has been there, as I mentioned, since 2005. So almost 20 years. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here going through. All right, so we already covered this. Let's go ahead and get into this actual petition. I'm going to read it here because there's some interesting things just in the first couple of pages of this petition. We're not going to go through the whole thing because it's lots of pages. So I'm going to spare you guys reading all 80 something pages, but there are a couple things I want to point out here, which I think y'all will find interesting. All right. And pardon me, guys. All right, here we go. So check this out. I want to get this to disappear. I wonder if I can full screen this. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, here we go. In the Superior Court, Fulton County, DeMonte Kendrick is the petitioner versus Judge Glanville. All right, so we've seen something similar to this before. The only difference is this is going to another judge instead of the Supreme Court. All right. So DeMonte Kendrick's verified emergency petition for writ of mandamus comes now. DeMonte Kendrick by and through his undersigned counsels and brings the emergency petition for writ of mandamus showing as follows. Even if a judge did not intend to favor one party over another, engaging in ex parte communications is appropriate and unjudicial. Engaging in or allowing ex parte communications presents to the public an image of a judge who covertly interacts with a party in order to unfairly advance the party's interest and jeopardize the appearance of the independence, integrity, and impartiality of the judiciary. So basically all this is saying is, hey, it's a bad look if the judge is showing that he has a bias towards the defense, and in this case he's showing that. Now the interesting thing about this section is they're actually referencing another case that recently took place in Georgia. All right, they said inquiry concerning Judge Christina Peterson, and then they cite the case here. Now, who is Judge Christina Peterson? We're going to talk about it here in a second. Excuse me, y'all. All right, y'all bear with me. Goodness. All right, let me see. Are we good? Okay, yeah, we're good. Shout out to everybody who's in here too. All right, so who is Judge Christina Peterson? Now, we haven't covered it here on this channel, but there's a lot of information out there. And if you're in Georgia, you've probably heard about who Christina Peterson is. She's been going through it these past few months, and especially the past week. So I'm going to give you guys a little background, let you know who she is and why it applies to this case specifically and why they cite it, because some of the things that happened in the Judge Christina Peterson case apply to some of the things that Judge Glanville is doing in this case. All right, so check this one out. We've got Fox 5 News in Atlanta. They've been covering this case with Christina Peterson extensively, and they do a great job of breaking down everything that led up to her being removed.
The state Supreme Court issued its ruling in the case of embattled probate judge Christine Peterson. The High Court ruled the Douglas County probate judge should be removed from office immediately. Fox 5's Kevin Stewart is in Douglas County live for us tonight with the latest. Kevin.
Christine, voters had already voted to remove Christine Peterson from office. She lost her primary earlier this year, but now the state Supreme Court says she's got to go right away. It would appear business as usual at the Douglas County Probate Office, but it's not. Judge Christina Peterson is out.
Thank God something did happen.
The community has been buzzing about this one. The Georgia State Supreme Court saying in its Tuesday morning ruling, quote, the judge exhibited a consistent pattern of misconduct that stemmed from willful misconduct in office.
People just kind of get a big head once they get into whatever, area they're in, and they're
Lord.
like, oh, I can get away with anything.
They held to a higher standard, so you know what I'm saying, they gotta do what's needed for the community.
The state high court decision follows a recommendation by the Judicial Qualification Commission to remove Peterson. It found she violated 28 of 30 counts against her. The Fox 5i team has detailed many of the missteps, including asking the public to cash app her birthday gifts on social media.
Oh, no, not a judge. She get paid too much anyway. No, sir. She get paid entirely too much money to ask for some cash out.
The court noted Peterson denied a taxpayer due process by not allowing her an attorney after a discrepancy over a marriage license. Peterson's attorney, Lester Tate, told Fox 5, quote, we were able to provide her with a vigorous defense, getting numerous counts dismissed, even though we lost the ultimate battle today.
There's some old sayings about, you do as a child when a child, but then you do as an adult when you get older.
Yeah, man, this is one of the biggest reasons that she was removed from this case. You see a lot of not specific similarities between the YSL trial and this one, but you're seeing how this type of conduct by a judge can lead to them possibly being removed from a case. And I want to go back and listen to this because they're saying a lot of wild things about what she was doing. She was asking for cash apps for her birthday. Crazy.
To remove Peterson. It found she violated 28 of 30 counts against her. The Fox 5i team has detailed many of the missteps, including asking the public to cash app her birthday gifts on social media.
Oh, no,
crazy.
No, not a judge. She get paid too much anyway. No, sir. She get paid entirely too much money to ask for some cash out.
The court noted Peterson denied a taxpayer due process by not allowing her an attorney after a discrepancy over a marriage license. Peterson's attorney, Lester Tate, told Fox 5, quote, we were able to provide her with a vigorous defense, getting numerous counts dismissed, even though we lost the ultimate battle today.
There's some old sayings
it's bad.
about, you do as a child when a child, but then you do as an adult when you get older.
All right. Now, Peterson was supposed to remain in office through the end of the year. Now an interim must be appointed. It's worth noting that Valerie Vi won her race against Peterson during the primary season. So it'll be interesting to see if she is appointed. That will be happening via the judge who will make at the courthouse to make that appointment. It's also worth noting that the assault against a police officer, the alleged assault against a police officer that Peterson is facing, that had nothing to do with today's decision. Reporting live from Douglasville, Kevin Stewart, Fox 5 News.
Now, y'all are probably asking, he said assault against a police officer. Well, it gets worse with what went on with Miss Peterson. Check this out.
Right now at noon, the Georgia State Supreme Court ruling Douglas County probate judge Christina Peterson be removed from the bench. According to a decision issued today, Peterson violated multiple rules in the Code of Judicial Conduct. This decision comes days after Peterson was arrested at a nightclub in Buckhead. Good afternoon, I'm Rick Fulbaum.
And I'm Lana Harris. So Peterson now faces 2 charges: simple battery against a police officer and felony willful obstruction of law enforcement by use of threats of violence.
Oh, man. Yes, this is a judge, or was a judge, I should say, that was doing this. Believe it or not.
Georgia Supreme felony willful obstruction of law enforcement by use of threats of violence. The Georgia Supreme Court says Peterson is not eligible to be elected or appointed to any judicial office in the state for at least 7 years. Peterson's lawyer says the charges against her should be dropped and that she is now, and I quote, evaluating her next steps.
Yeah, you don't just you don't touch up a police officer and they get dropped. So it's not looking good for her. So anyway, that's a little bit of a background on what's going on with former judge Christina Peterson. As y'all heard, she is no longer. Yeah, she's off the bench. She done. So that's why they cite this, because they're showing, hey, here's a case where there was clearly the judge that was acting or being inappropriate when it comes to certain cases. and doing it over and over and over and over. And it's the same thing with Judge Glanville. All right. Now, some of this we've already seen before, but the wording is a little bit different. It says the emergency petition is brought under the guidance from the Supreme Court of Georgia following rejection of a similar petition by that court. As explained by the court in anticipation of the present petition, Chief Judge Glanville would be disqualified from presiding over the matter. A different judge would consider Kendrick's petition, and either party may appeal the final decision. Okay, so we still got a long road ahead, but it's a good thing they're making the right steps, and we'll see what Miss Belinda does now that she's been assigned to this. The emergency petition concerns allegations of serious breach of Georgia Code of Judicial Conduct that violate petitioner's state and federal constitutional rights. The petition relates to the conduct of Chief Glanville and not any ruling or orders of the judge. Again, this is important because Chief Glanville, the reason he was rejecting some of these motions to recuse is because he was saying, hey, you're just doing this because you don't like the judgments that I'm making. And they're making it clear that is not the case. The reason we're bringing this petition is because you're not doing the right thing. In the case at bar, original relief in the form of motion for recusal has been filed and denied 3 times by 3 respective movements. Yeah, and that's true. And he hasn't even given them the opportunity to show why the judge should recuse himself. He just said, no, we're not doing it. I'm sorry. Likewise, Chief Judge Glanville has denied the movement's respective request for a certificate of immediate review 3 times as well. Chief Judge Glanville has obstructed defense counsel's attempts to have a disinterested party review the numerous allegations contained in at least 4 affidavits, which allege judicial misconduct and unfair proceedings. Yeah, I believe it's Kayla has one. Brian Steele did one. And then we've got Weinstein has one. So that's 3. I'm trying to think of the 4th one. I'm trying to think of what the 4th one is. It'll come to me. But those are definitely the 3 motion to recuses that has been brought against Judge Glanville, right? Because he was trying to lock up Brian Steele for contempt. And he's like, man, you need to get out of here. And then the same thing happened with Kayla. And then Mr. Weinstein, he's saying, Judge, you got to get out of here as well. All right. He said these affidavits, if true, would constitute serious violations of the Code of Judicial Ethics. My gosh. A secret ex parte proceeding was held on June 10th. In attendance were Chief Judge Glanville, sworn witness Kenneth Copeland, prosecutors Love and Hilton, investigators from the Fulton County DA's office, and members of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. All right. Now, this is all stuff that we've been through. If you missed it, you can go back and watch any of the videos we've done covering specifically what the Supreme Court said on this. But it will be interesting to see how the Supreme Court handles this, because guys, I don't have any faith in this judicial system right now. I know this probably isn't the greatest thing for me to say since I'm here in Fulton County, but this specific case is it's just so bad. So with this being assigned to a judge that Glanville has a history with, has been working with for nearly a decade, we'll say 7 years, I have little to no faith that this is going to go through, and that Mr. Weinstein and of course Mr. what is his name? Mr. Kendrick are going to get an opportunity to show why they think the judge should be removed. So y'all have to let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. Is this a good thing that it's been assigned to a judge? Is this just another step in the case that they're going to have to fight through to get Judge Glanville removed? And eventually, is he going to be removed? Y'all let me know.